Good morning, guys. We're going to be calculating the total surface area of these three prisms here. All right, the first prism is a rectangular prism, the second one is a cylinder. Remember, a cylinder has a circular base, and we have a triangular prism which has a triangular base. Now, for us to calculate the total surface area of our rectangular prism, I'm simply going to calculate the area of each face and simply multiply that by 2. This is all I had. I multiplied 6 with 10, which will give me this area. And obviously there's two of these sides. Okay, it is this side and the one at the back, right? Hence I multiplied that by 2. It is 6, so it is the area which is equals to the 6, and you're going to multiply it by 10, and your 10 is simply the height. All right, and then I'm going to calculate the area of the long sides. There's two of these sides, so hence I simply took 7 and I multiplied it by 10, and obviously I doubled that because there's two blue sides, there's two red sides, and there's two blue sides. The last side will simply be the top side as well as the bottom side. And hence we have the area of the top side, which is 6 times 7. It is simply 6. The 6 here, you times it by 7. It is top of the area of the top side, and you just double that because it is the top side and the bottom side that will be identical. Hence you have our total surface area as 344 centimeters. Actually it is 344 squared centimeters. Now for you to calculate the area of a cylinder, this is the formula that you had to use, where 2 pi r squared represents the area of the top part of the cylinder, which is the circular top part, and the circular bottom part, and you just multiply that by 2. Obviously, when you calculate the area of a circle, it'll simply be pi r squared, hence I doubled that. I did tell you that for you to calculate the area of the body of the cylinder, you just have to unfold it, which will form a rectangular base, and the length of the cylinder will simply be pi r. Okay, 2 pi r, and you multiply that by the height of the cylinder. In this case, it will be 10. Multiply those two, you will simply get 50 pi plus 100 pi. 50 pi plus 100 pi will simply give you 150 pi, and you put that into your calculator and write it as a decimal. It will be 471.25 squared centimeters. To calculate the total surface area of a triangle, you simply calculate the area of the two triangles, triangular prism I mean. You calculate the area of the two triangles, and obviously when you calculate the area of the two triangles, you will take the base of the triangle, which is 10, multiplied by the height, perpendicular height of the triangle, which is 5 centimeters, double that, and obviously it will give you the area of the two triangles, which is your base. And then you calculate. Remember, a triangular prism will have 3 rectangular sides. Hence, I simply calculated the areas of those 3 rectangular sides. I started with this side here, which is 5 times 20, and then I went to that side. Obviously it extends up to there, which will simply be 5 times 20 as well. And then the area of the bottom part, the bottom side, will be 10 times 20. Hence I have that. The total surface area of this triangular prism will simply be 450 squared centimeters. Let us quickly do these ones. Now we have a rectangular prism, but in this case, please remember in this question, we're simply calculating the volume. Hence, it said there, work out the volume of each of these prisms. Remember the formula for calculating the volume is simply take the area of the base, you just multiply it by the perpendicular height of the prism. The first one, which is A, we have a triangular prism. The base is a triangle. Find the area of that triangle, which is 20 times 16, and you have that, and you simply multiply it by the height of the prism, which is 15. Hence you will have the volume equals to, now let's look at A. As I've identified that it's a triangular prism, the area of the base will simply be 20 times 16. You multiply that by half, and then you multiply it by the perpendicular height, which is the height of the prism, and that will be 15. Multiply those two, it'll simply give you 2,400 cubic centimeters. Remember, the volumes will always be, your volume will always be in cubic, all right? And obviously, when you calculate the area, the volume of a prism is simply the area of the base times the height of the prism. The base here is simply a triangle. Simply take that triangle and multiply the area of that triangle, which is 8 times 12 times half, and multiply by the height of the prism, which is 20 centimeters, and that will give you a volume of 960 cubic centimeters. Now, this is what we refer to as complex prisms, where you have a diagram that you need to divide or cut in order for you to find the total volume. In B, what you need to do is to actually find the volume of the bottom rectangular prism and the top rectangular prism. I'll start with the bottom rectangular prism because this whole length here is 10. From there up to there it is 10. All I'm going to do is simply, obviously from here to there is 3, and from there to there is 3. 3 plus 3 is 6. It simply means that the middle part will simply be equal to 4 centimeters. I need this part for me to get the length, or simply the width or the breadth of the bottom rectangular prism, and that will be 4 centimeters. Now, for me to find the volume of the bottom rectangular prism, I'm going to take 4 centimeters and multiply it by the length of the prism, and the length of the prism is simply 7. Take that and multiply it by the height, it will give you the volume of the bottom rectangular prism. And then for the top rectangular prism, you will simply take that 10 and multiply it by the length, which is 7, and multiply it by the height, which is 4, and that will give you the volume of the top. Note that this is divided into 2. We have 2 rectangular prisms there. The first one will be the one that I'm just going to highlight to you now. The second one is this one right at the top, and the rectangular prism number 2. You're going to add the volumes of the two for you to get the total volume of this whole diagram, and the total volume of this whole diagram will simply be 140 cubic centimeters. Now the bottom one, it's still a rectangular prism, but you need to note something happened in this rectangular prism. They took the middle part out. So you're going to first start by calculating the volume of the whole prism, and that will obviously be found by actually calculating the area of the whole prism, which is 16 times 12 centimeters. Multiply that by the height, it will give you the total volume of the whole prism. And the total volume of the whole prism, you will simply have to divide the volume of the prism that has been cut out, which is this prism over here. That part has been cut out. Find the volume of that part and simply subtract it from the total volume of the entire prism. I will simply take 4 centimeters, multiplied by 5, and multiply it by the height. Obviously, the height of that prism that has been cut out will be 5 centimeters. So this is the box that has been cut out. All right, I'm going to put it on the side and I'm just going to calculate the area of that box, which is 4 centimeters multiplied by 5 centimeters multiplied by the 5 centimeters, which is that rectangular prism I've cut out in red. I'm going to deduct the volume of that prism because it has been taken out of the whole prism, the total prism, the full prism. So we just left with a hole in the middle. That's why I have to deduct the volume of that prism that has been cut out. And when you cut out the volume of the prism, you will first find the volume of the total prism, which is 960 cubic centimeters. The volume of the prism that I've just cut out will be 100 cubic centimeters, and that will give you 860 cubic centimeters. That is the volume of the part that is left of this whole prism. Basically, once we have taken out the prism that I've just drawn for you, which is the red prism. Please note that I just need to correct number B. The total volume of the above prism will be 420, which is the prism at the bottom plus the prism that is at the top. Now let us look at this. E is simply a triangular prism. It's quite easy for you to calculate the volume. You will simply take 150 multiplied by 18 centimeters and multiply it by the height of the prism, which is 110, and it will give you the volume of that rectangular triangular prism, and that will be 123,750 cubic centimeters. F has two prisms in it. It has a rectangular prism as well as a triangular prism. I will first start by calculating the area of the triangular prism. I mean the total, the surface, the volume of the, now I'm confusing volume and the total surface area. I'm going to be calculating the volume of the rectangular prism, and that will be 80 times 60 times 60, and obviously it'll give you the volume of the rectangular prism, which is 80 times 80, and you multiply it by the perpendicular height, which is 60 centimeters, and that will be added with the volume of the triangular prism, which is the top part. Please note that the length of this side here will simply be, I will simply take 80 because I do have the length, which is 80. However, the only thing that I'm missing in that triangle is the height, and the height of the triangle will simply be 20. How did I get that 20? Please note that this height here is the total height is 100 centimeters. I'm going to multiply the height from there up to, which is 60, hence I'll be left with 20. So the height of that triangular prism will simply be 20. That's why I have 20, and then you're going to multiply it by the height of the prism. This is simply the height of the base, which is the triangular base. The height of the base is 20 centimeters, and the height of the entire prism will be 80 centimeters. You add the two volumes, it'll give you the total volume of the prism. The total volume of the prism will simply be 384,000 cubic centimeters. Actually, it's not 384 cubic centimeters, it is 384 cubic centimeters, which is the volume of the rectangular prism plus the volume of the triangular prism. You add the two, it will give you 448,000 cubic centimeters. We're going to be doing these shortly.